Hey, what's up? It's me, J Bat, or you can call me JDS4696. Now, today I'm going to be giving a review for another graphic novel known as Nightwing, A Night in Bludhaven. And as you can see, this is like the cover of it right here that I have. And of course, we all know that Nightwing is Dick Grayson. Like the former Robin of Batman. Well, he was Batman's sidekick basically. The first Robin. So eventually, like in the comics or whatever, I never actually got to read those stories, but I kind of used to always hear about them, as well. But eventually, Dick Grayson himself kind of got tired of being in like a Batman shadow or Bruce Wayne shadow as Batman. So he decides to create his own like superhero like persona, which is Nightwing. And then he fights crime, but because I know he was with the Teen Titans too at one point too, because they kind of discuss all this kind of the beginning of it. But he does become like Nightwing or whatever. But this particular book right here, known as a Night in Bludhaven, where the whole storyline is known as A Night in Bludhaven. It's about him traveling to this city known as Bludhaven, which was Bludhaven's debut in the comics. Like far as like comics go. And it's like a city that I think like the sister city to Gotham City, and it's not that far from Gotham City as far as like the geographical line of it, like map of it. Basically, it's supposed to be like right across the water almost, basically like another like coastal city or whatever. So yeah, that's what this is about. It's about Nightwing traveling to this new city known as Bludhaven, and he travels there because of the idea that these bodies washed up in Gotham like harbor with their necks like broken and snapped. So Batman actually sends Nightwing, well Dick Grayson you could say, over to Bludhaven to find out why these bodies came to Gotham Harbor like that, all broken up and stuff, and who could do something like that, because they're like their necks were broken by somebody's hands, like forcibly. So this person had to be like strong and like I guess you could say massive, basically. So he is ordered what Batman suggests that he goes to Bludhaven to find out who committed these murders. Now, Nightwing, A Night in Bludhaven was originally like the storyline, that's particular storyline which introduced Bludhaven to, DC Comics, or the comic genre. It was actually created in 1996 and the storyline occurred over like 8 issues, I believe. That's how long the A Night in Bludhaven like storyline was. So yeah, that's what it's about. Dick Grayson, when it opens with like an introduction from like Barbara Gordon, the Oracle, and she's kind of explaining like the origin of like Dick Grayson, how he lost his parents, how he became like Robin with Batman, the first Robin, how he went on to lead the Teen Titans and stuff like that, But then he went out on his own and became Nightwing because he was having conflicts with like Bruce Wayne, Batman, So they actually kind of like broke up, and he went on and became his own hero. But yeah, it opens with an introduction by her, and she makes appearances in the tale too as well. But the bulk of the story, like the plot of it, is dealing with like Dick Grayson or Nightwing traveling to like this new city known as Bludhaven. Well, apparently it already did exist in like the Gotham City, I guess you could say like universe. But as far as comics go, it was like a new city that they had created. I guess you could say just for Nightwing, for Dick Grayson basically. So he travels to the city because these bodies, they wash up in like the Gotham Harbor with their necks and stuff snapping or whatever, and Batman suggests, and he makes an appearance, like only a couple of appearances, like Batman, he makes like cameo appearances throughout the storyline, He suggests that he goes to Bludhaven to find out why these bodies showed up here and what was going on, So that's basically what the story is about. So like Dick travels to Bludhaven, and when he gets there, he immediately, he's kind of like dislikes the city to a certain extent and everything like that, but he eventually grows on it, and it becomes like his own personal playground. Like Batman has Gotham City, so it's kind of cool that he has his own city now, and everything. So he eventually gets a job. Now these were kind of the elements I thought was kind of interesting about it. He gets a job like as a bartender at this place known as, I think, Hogan's Alley. So he serves like, I think, like drinks. I think it was like a bar if I'm not mistaken. And plus on top of that, he manages to get an apartment with like the lady, like the person who like the what you call him, like the I forgot, like the landlord. They ask that he gives them like 2 months rent, before he can actually start living in the apartment, and he cleans it up and everything. So I thought that was kind of cool that Dick had like an apartment and he has a job while he's here in Bludhaven. Because at first he wasn't planning on staying here. He just decided to stay there because it was taking so long to find out who broke all these necks of all these bodies that washed up in the Gotham Harbor. So eventually he decides to just stay in Bludhaven, So yeah, you have all that going on, you know, it's like games, you know, like Black Mass shows up at one point, you know, like a villain of Batman, but it turns out that it's not the Black Mass. And this is kind of a spoiler alert. It turns out that the villain is known as a Blockbuster, and he's like this huge, like massive, like guy, you know, and he was the one that was breaking all their necks and stuff like that, the bodies and stuff. He was the one that was doing all that. He's like a massive, like villain, you know. Almost like he kind of resembles like the Kingpin from like the Marvel like comics universe. He kind of looks like that, you know. But he has like long hair and stuff like that. And he has like a bald head at the top. But his eyes they're like red too, almost like they're glowing red, you know. Almost like he's not human or something. But I think he is, and they just drew him that way basically. So yeah, that's what it's about. You know, he finds out, and that was like a spoiler. It turns out that it's like the villain Blockbuster, who I heard is the arch enemy and nemesis of Nightwing. You know, and I think he made his debut in this particular storyline, A Night in Bludhaven. You know, so it turns out that that's the villain or whatever. Now, to me, I thought this was it was a good story. I enjoyed it. I could tell, you know, if I kept reading, it probably would grow on me a lot. You know, I probably like want to read it over and over. Cause I was kind of reading like the first couple of issues over and over. Cause I liked how they did like the artwork to a certain extent for like Nightwing himself. He kind of like moves like Spider-Man, basically, like when he's like going around like swinging around Bludhaven and stuff. It kind of resembles Spider-Man to a certain extent. So I thought that was kind of cool, you know. But yeah, I thought this was a decent story, you know. And it turns out they give you like a little like history on the city of Bludhaven too as well. It supposedly was like a former like whaling town. I think they dealt with like whales, you know, like slaughtering whales, I think, or something like that, you know, if I'm not mistaken. And it's supposedly only like a short car ride away from Gotham City, just like over the bridge, you know, like a short car ride away from Gotham City. Bludhaven itself is not really that far from Gotham City. Now, yeah, you have appearances by like Batman. He makes cameos. Even Oracle makes like cameos and stuff. But you have like a big scene for Tim Drake, like, you know, the third Robin. You know, he hasn't seen him before Nightwing, where they team up and stuff like that. Because Batman actually signed him there too as well. You know, just to find out who was breaking these necks of these bodies and stuff. Because I guess you could say because Dick was taking too long to find out, you know, who was doing it. You know, basically. But yeah, I thought this was now to me, like, I like the nostalgic moments, like when it's showing like Dick Grayson's like history and stuff, like you get a glimpse of like how he was when he was in the Flying Graysons and stuff like that. You know, that's where his parents had died, you know. And plus, you know, just little moments where he's like swinging around. It's cool to kind of see him on his own now. He's not Robin, he's like Nightwing, you know, and everything. And I like this new city, Bludhaven. So it's kind of cool and decent, you know. But I thought the artwork, these was kind of like the downfalls of, you know, it feels like it's rushed and kind of like sloppy to a certain extent. Not to hit the artists and anything like that. I thought it was still decent, but it felt like it was kind of like rushed and everything. Plus, at times the story, you could tell it felt like it was just filler, basically. You know, they were just throwing all this stuff in, delaying who was actually behind, like these bodies being broken up and stuff. You know, it took so long to actually get to who the villain was behind it, and it had to be somebody like massive, you know, who they didn't really show until kind of towards the end, which was Blockbuster, you know. But yeah, in the end, I thought Nightwing, A Night in Bludhaven, I thought this was a pretty decent read, a good like graphic novel, and it collects the 8-issue series. I think it was 8 issues that occurred in 1996, you know. And plus, like the major milestone of this particular like storyline was the introduction of Bludhaven into like the comic universe, DC Comics, well, comics in general, you know. There never was a Bludhaven city. They actually created it for like Nightwing. So I guess you could say that's like the major like point of this particular like story itself, you know. But I would give Nightwing, A Night in Bludhaven, I would give this a B-. I would recommend it for like Robin fan or like Batman fans in general, because, you know, that's why I really like read it, because I was always a fan of Nightwing, you know. So I decided to give like one of his like books a try, you know. So I would recommend it for like fans, you know, if you like the Robin character, basically, or Dick Grayson period, you know. I would recommend it, you know. But I guess like Batman fans should definitely give it a try, you know. So yeah, I'll be giving this a B-, and this is my review for Nightwing, A Night in Bludhaven, and this is J-Bat. Alright. This here is the Nightwing graphic novel collection, A Night in Bludhaven. And as you can see, it has like a Nightwing right here on the cover, Dick Grayson. And you also have like a Batman right here, and with Robin too. And I guess that's the Tim Drake Robin, because I know he does make an appearance in him. the Tim Drake Robin, but you can, I guess you could say it's the Dick Grayson one too, you know, as well. It kind of makes sense because it's kind of connected, you know. But I believe it's the Tim Drake one though, and it has like images on the back and stuff too as well, you know, like Nightwing pictures, you know, murder, assault, robbery, kidnapping, not in his time, and it mentions like Bludhaven and stuff like that. But yeah, I thought the artwork and stuff, it was like it was decent. Like images of like Nightwing and stuff swinging around like Bludhaven and stuff. I thought that was kind of cool, you know, itself, you know. So yeah, this is like the Nightwing, A Night in Bludhaven, like my graphic novel collection, and it collects like the 8 stories that occurred in 1996, which gave the introduction of Bludhaven to like the comic world, you know, what DC Comics like world, you know, basically whatever, because there was no Bludhaven, you know, and of course we all know that's where like Nightwing operates. That's his city or whatever, you know, where he fights like crime and stuff like that, you know. All right.